Hello and welcome back to the youth program on Kanar TV, the Arab voice from Canada. I'm Jamal and Sharif, and today I am broadcasting from Ottawa, the capital of Canada. But my dear guest is from the United States, Massachusetts, Cambridge. I would like to introduce him first, but I'm very happy to have this person today with me on this small stage to encourage others, especially youth, to be able to contribute to peace and love through sport. Sport is well known that the best way to promote peace, love around the nations. Usually, when you look at the sport around the world, you will see how these sportsmen trying to ignore all political, religion, ideological problems, and they contribute together to the best of the humanity and the health. So today, my guest is Amel Younis. Hello, Emil.
Hi, how are you?
Great to see you, and thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me on your show. This is awesome.
So, Emil, you have a surprise for all of us. You are a sportsman doing rowing, and you will try to organize a Palestinian rowing team, which is a great news. But I think there are some surprises, difficulties. We will talk about that today on this interview.
Looking forward to it.
Emil, just introduce everybody, introduce yourself to us. Who is Emil? Where were you born? Your parents? What's your story?
So it's quite interesting. Hi, everyone. My name is Amel Younis, and I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts. My father is Palestinian. My mother is Irish, and they're both American, but that is their descent. And, my grandparents lived in a village called Safsaf, and then they became refugees in southern Lebanon and En Helwi. They were founded by the Sisters of Mercy in Boston. They got on a ship. They came to Boston, Massachusetts, and my father was born, and he was the first American-born Eunice, and he actually had to go back to En Helwi, and he was raised there for a good amount of time in the refugee camp, and then he managed to come back in the mid-70s. Yeah, I think I'm forgetting which year. I believe it was 76. And then he's been here ever since. And in the late 80s, he met my mother, and they got married and had 3 kids. And I'll be honest, being Irish Palestinian has been probably the coolest experience of my life. I mean, I'm probably one of the most stubborn people I know. And
it's an excellent mix.
Yeah, it is wild. I mean, especially growing up in the United States and having, 2 parents just incredibly strong, loving people. I mean, I owe it all to them. I don't know how, without the love and support of my parents being there for me, none of this would have been possible. So I'm very blessed to have the family that I have. And what's so special too is that there's 3 of us. I have 2 older brothers, and they've been, heroes of mine since I was born. I mean, they've taken good care of me too. So I feel very blessed.
Are they all in sport, by the way?
Sorry?
Are they sportsmen?
At heart. No, they're very heavily involved in helping the community. One of them is a social worker, and he does a lot for people in the city of Worcester. Shout out to Worcester. I love being born and raised there, and that was very cool as well. And then the middleman is a nurse, and he helps helps all kinds of people. So, and you know, I'm involved in elementary school teaching. So we take care of the poor, we take care of the sick, and we take care of the children. So, you know, we're doing our best out here.
Great job.
But yeah.
Emil, so you are teaching now, yes? You are not students anymore. You look young.
Even though I'm involved in education, I'm definitely a student of the kids. I feel like I learn something new about myself every single day just being with them. And you know, it's, you know, obviously I'm a teacher and I help them, and it's an incredible experience. And
What do you teach?
Right now I'm in second grade. So I'm a paraprofessional, which means I'm a teacher's assistant. I help with one-on-one, and I help with small group instruction and things like that. But yeah, it's an incredible feeling. Last year I was in kindergarten, and that's a totally different ball game. But it's very cute. It's very fun.
Okay, let's talk about sport. What brings you in this kind of sport, rowing?
It all started when I was 14. I didn't really know what to do with my time, and I knew that I wanted to do something with athletics. And my oldest brother actually played American football, and I was talking with him about maybe trying to join football my freshman year, and he was like, you know, don't do it. I've gotten a couple of concussions, you know, save your body, save your brain, try maybe like something like track and field. And I was like, I don't really know if I want to do that. And I actually had a cousin who was involved in Worcester Public Schools rowing. It was called Worcester Public Schools crew. And he was like, oh, you should join, you know, it's a lot of fun. We're on the water. And I was like, crew? Like, I don't even know what this is. Rowing? I have no idea what this is. And I'm thinking like kayaking or something like that. And I got to practice, and I sat in this boat, and it's an 8-person boat with this little person in the front who's steering it, like with these strings. And I'll never forget the feeling. I'll never forget the feeling of when I joined, because there's this powerful effect of the water. And, you know, when you're a teenager, you know, you're old enough and smart enough to realize that you don't really have control over anything. And there's pressure, you know, if you're trying to get into university and or grades or parents or whatever's going on. And when I was in that boat, the only thing I had to worry about was the next stroke.
Wow.
And it brought me a lot of peace, and it taught me a lot about myself. And if it wasn't for the rowing in high school, I probably wouldn't have gone to college. In high school, I was born with a learning disability, and the guidance counselors were telling my parents that I wasn't college material and you should put me in a trade school. And, you know, God bless my parents. They hired tutors. I've had tutors my whole life, and I'd go to school, and then I'd go to practice, and then I'd have tutoring after practice, and then I'd have dinner, and then I'd go to bed, and I'd do it all over again. And luckily I got into college, and I rowed all 4 years of college, and it was a beautiful experience. I feel so blessed that I found that in high school. It just took the edge off of just like, it just gave me guidance. It gave me purpose. It's just, again, the water is incredibly powerful, and to be in that boat and feel the speed.
But I guess you can swim, I guess.
You definitely got to be able to swim. You got to learn how to swim. You got to pass the swim test.
I've been through kayaks, and I've been in the water 3 times upside down.
No. Unless you want to row with a life jacket on, which would not be comfortable, you gotta learn how to swim. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so there are 2 kinds of rowings. There are single ones and the team one. Which one do you do?
Okay, yeah. So the picture that you're showing right now, that is called sweeping, and that means that you have 1 oar, and that could be in an 8 or a 4 or a pair. So this is an 8, right? And the kind of rowing I do is called sculling, which means that I have 2 oars in my hand and I'm rowing in a single boat, and it's just me. There's no coxswain. I have no other teammates in the boat, and it's just me. And the boat is very, I mean, it's light. I think it's like 14 kilograms or something like that. And I mean, it's very long and skinny, and it's like this wide. You know, it's just enough to get your butt in it, really. And yeah, there's definitely been a lot of times where I flipped in that, especially in the beginning. But it just takes hours and hours of repetitive. There's just no other way of getting
Something
good
like this?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. And you just got to dedicate hours and hours and hours, months, years to just being in that boat in order to just like finally get that feeling of connection and doing it right.
Great. Emil, tell me about your training. How many hours you've been training a day, I say?
So I row in Cambridge. You know, and I joined the high performance team at Riverside Boat Club in 2018. And, you know, especially I rowed all 4 years of high school, all 4 years of college. And in high school, it's basically like once a day. In college, it's twice a day, and it's about 11 practices a week. And then I took a year and a half off, joined this thing called men's sweeps, and that was a ton of fun. And then I joined the high performance, where it's the sculling, 2 boats, and I'm training twice a day. And basically I've been training twice a day with that kind of regiment since 2018 till now. And like my schedule right now, for example, is that I set my alarm for 4 a.m. I usually I press snooze maybe once or twice. I wake up at 4:10 or 4:20. I have a cup of coffee. I'm out the door by 5. I'm on the water by 5:30. It's March, so right now the water is incredibly cold and it's still pretty dark. I will row usually from 5:30 to 7:15 to 7:30. So I'm usually on the water for at least an hour, 45 minutes to 2 hours. I shower, eat a meal, go to work by 8. And then I'll be there the school day from 8 to 2:30. I get out of school. I will have a snack, like, you know, I love like just having a peanut butter and jelly with a banana. That usually gets me right, you know, and I'm having meals all throughout the day.
By the way, that's Canadian, huh?
Yeah. And so I have that. I'll have another cup of coffee, and then I'm usually in the gym for about like 2 to 2.5 hours. I come home around, it's usually, I mean, if I get there a little bit around 4, I mean, I'm not home till like 6:30 or 7, and then I have dinner. I try and go to bed at 8, you know, unless I get a little too distracted by something on Netflix and the time passes by, but my eyes are usually closing by 8 o'clock, and then I do it all over again. Saturdays and Sundays are huge advantage because I'm not working those days, so I try and push the volume a little bit more. But it's, you know, if I'm rowing, you know, I'm trying to at least do like 20K on the water. If I'm cycling, I'm usually trying to cycle for at least 2 hours. And if I'm in the weight room, I'm usually in the weight room for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I train twice a day.
Yeah, good. Emil, tell me, as any sportsman, as any man doing hobby or trying to improve himself, you get sometimes down. You get feeling that I can't do it. I'm giving too much time. Can you give an advice to the youth who are going through this hard time psychologically and emotionally? What is the motivation you had to keep you pushing? I don't know. Usually forward, but you are doing backward.
I'm going backwards. Yes.
Usually pushing you to do your dream, to make it true.
You know, it's interesting because in sport, you know, especially in rowing, it's so ego based, right? It's like, it's all in, as an athlete, you can't help but compare, right? You're like, this person's going this time and I'm going this time. So that means I'm like on this level. And if I keep working, I can come to this level. And it's, it really comes down to, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And it all usually comes from a vision, like creativity. I had a vision in my mind. I had a vision in 2015, I graduated from college, and I had a vision that I was in a single at the start of this really big regatta in Boston. It's called Head of the Charles. And I was just like, I want that vision to become a reality. How do I do that? And 6 years later, it finally came true. I rode the single at Head of the Charles. That was like one of my dreams. And as a younger person, especially, you get very emotional. You get very hard on yourself. And the greatest advice I ever got is to have mercy on yourself. There's going to be days where you don't want to do it. There's going to be days where you're sad. There's going to be days where you have a result and you're incredibly disappointed. And it's basically, you have to realize that that's just a huge part of the process. You have to fail. Failure is inevitable. And it's a part of being human. And it's very real. And you learn from the failures, you keep moving forward, and you have to have that discipline though, because then it just becomes muscle memory to go to practice at 5 a.m. But you gotta make it repetitive. You have to have that discipline. You have to have those rituals and routines that are in place to make sure that you just keep moving on going. But yeah, there's the forgiveness part is probably the most crucial part, because people are so hard on themselves, and if they just waited a little bit longer, they probably could have gotten that result that they wanted. But people are just too tough on themselves. They compare too much to other people, and it takes time, and you're gonna fail. I promise you're gonna fail, but the failures are worth it to get to that next level. Hey, there you go. There you are. That's
I found you. You didn't send me this clip. I found it on net.
That's
my brother.
Oh my God. Can I tell you the truth? And this is a huge part. Do we have time? I'll tell you a quick story.
Sure. Go ahead.
This is the honest to God truth. Okay, so I'm rowing in this boat with people way better at rowing with me. I was horrified. I was a freshman in college when I rowed in this boat, and I was rowing for a guy who, I mean, he was everything to me. His name was Adrian Spracklin, and there was another coach. His name was Jamie Francis, and they both took such good care of me. I'm so blessed to have rowed with them. But I was a freshman, and I came in with a huge ego, and I thought, I'm going to make the first varsity 8. I'm going to be great at this. I'm going to kick everyone's butt. And there was 13 lightweight men on our team at that point. And I was the 13th guy. There was 12 people faster than me. By the end of the season, I was the slowest person on the team my freshman year. So they made an 8 and they made a 4, and I was the spare. And there was, on the women's team, a varsity women's rower who was injured, and I rowed with the women's 8 all spring. I was the only guy in that boat, clearly, because it's a women's 8. But she was injured, and I was on the women's team my freshman spring. I didn't make a boat. And then my coach talked to me because I was clearly very upset and emotional, and he said, you got 2 options. You could quit, or you could work super hard over the summer and come back even stronger. And that's exactly what I did. I worked very, very hard over that summer, and in that fall I made the top 8. So talk about failure and humility. I promise you, I've had that humble pie. It's hard to swallow, but sometimes you just got to have it. But yeah, that's me in there. When I was a freshman, I was like 18.
So you've been there. You've been in these difficulties.
My whole life. Yes, I promise.
So, as a rower, did you participate in competition? Did you win anything? Did you lose anything?
I've definitely lost more than I've ever won, and I would say, I've done like, in high school, I won some state championships, and that was a total blast. I mean, just winning states for your height it was for Worcester. I mean, that was like my first real win, and that's like what gave me the itch to keep rowing. And then when I was in college, there's this big race at the end of the year called Dad Bales Regatta, and it's in Philadelphia, and that was what we trained for all year. And I finally got a bronze medal in the men's light 8 my senior year. It was my last race, and it took 4 years, and that was huge. And then I've done all right in some indoor rowing competitions. I've gotten a bronze medal and a silver medal, and that was really amazing, because it was at this indoor rowing competition called Crash Bees, and it was awesome. I love to compete. But no, I haven't really won anything like big. There's been huge improvements. There's the little wins where you as an individual is clearly seeing the progress getting faster and faster and faster. But I can't say I've won anything like substantial.
I'm telling you, today you won our hearts and love.
As someone who has failed, like the biggest thing is, I had a vision to row at Dad Bales, and my vision, honestly, in the future is to see my family at the Olympics in the stadium watching me race. That's my vision now that I wake up for.
Let's go to that part. You are trying to reorganize the Palestinian team for rowing, which you've told me a little bit about the story of the Palestinian team. It has been once and it's done. Tell me about this. Is there now a Palestinian rowing team?
Yes. Yeah, so I do have to correct you. I cannot take any credit for this whatsoever. There is a Palestinian Sailing Rowing Federation in Gaza. I have nothing to do with that. I'm a part of their team. There are 2 individuals that work tirelessly on it, and that is Khaldoun Abu Salim. He's the president of the federation, and he is the top ranking official of that federation, and he works incredibly hard. And this next person who I talk to daily, and she just works so hard, and she is like the backbone of this. This whole thing would not work at all without her, and her name is Haneen El Ghazali. And she is just incredible. I mean, she's the Secretary General of the Palestinian Rowing Federation. So how this all started is that I contacted the World Rowing Federation, and they introduced me to Khaldoun Abu Salim, and we started to talk, and then we started a WhatsApp group, and I've been talking with Haneen and Khaldoun, and actually another person who joined, his name is Mark Jaban, and he was the first Palestinian rower ever, and he's been helping out tremendously. And all 4 of us have been working together for about really the last 6 months to try and make this project happen, where I would represent Palestine internationally. Our goal is to go in 2022 in September, either the World Championships, which would be the first time Palestine has gone in 15 years, or to the Asian Games, which would be the first time a Palestinian has ever gone to the Asian Games for rowing ever. So
the same time, the same month.
Unfortunately, they're both at the same time, the same week.
Yep.
Asian Games is in China, and the World Championships are in the Czech Republic. So we gotta make a decision, and no matter what, they're both huge for Palestine and for Palestinian people, all over the world. So this is a big deal, and it's an honor for me to do that. And I couldn't have done it without that team. Then the Palestinian Rowing Federation just could not happen.
Sure. We also wish them all the best and thank them for trying to put Palestine back on the sports map in this world. Amel, what is your feeling? How do you feel as a third generation Palestinian? I don't know. Have you visited Palestine before or not?
Unfortunately, I have not. Yeah, I'm second. So I'm second generation American, and it's such a interesting experience because my father was born in the United States, but he was raised in An Helwi, and then he came back. So he was raised by Palestinians in Lebanon, or he was raised when he was here by by people who were born in Palestine and are Palestinian. Then when he raised us, it was like we were first generation American because he embodies being Palestinian. So, and then my mother, she's amazing, and her raising me, they have, they're both just incredible people, and they're very different but very similar at the same time. And it's interesting because when I talk with people, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there's a lot of people that love me and my brothers because they're like, we never met people like you before. And I know when they're like, the things that they're in love with are like my Palestinian qualities or like my Irish qualities, and they, we were raised with so much respect for other people and for other cultures and religions and everything that, my main mission is to let the world know that, being Palestinian is one of the most beautiful and unique experiences ever to experience as a human. And we're human, and, Palestine deserves to be represented internationally just as much as any other country. And, just to be able to share that stage like everyone else is a huge win. So I just, I understand the responsibility that I have, and I'm glad that it's put on me because I know that I'm going to represent Palestine to the fullest and the best of my capabilities. I'm gonna do the absolute best that I can. So, but yeah, it's been a incredible journey. I wouldn't change it for the world.
I think. You know what? When you're doing such a thing, it's very important, not only for Emil himself, but also for putting the word Palestine back on the at least sports map, because it is very important. As I said in the beginning, it's the best way to represent your country when you can put it on peaceful and beautiful and lovely way. Emil, what was your father reaction when he knew about this?
He was blown away. They had posted articles about me in Palestine, and he's, it's in Arabic, and there's a picture of me rowing, and he was like, "Oh my God, like that's you. I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Like, and yeah, I mean, my father, of course, is a big part of the why I'm doing this. I mean, I adore him. This is like a gift. My parents equally dedicated their entire lives to making sure that we're good people, we're respectable people, that we contribute to our society, and we help ourselves and all that good stuff. And this is the least that I could do for him.
I am really happy for interviewing you today. I'm really honored. I would like to send my best wishes to your both parents, both brothers, because they supported you and they made a hero that we can call and we love. You won our love, man. So you won a lot of things today. I
Yeah, I
give
think I
you
appreciate it.
I give you the last minute to say or to send anything you would like to say before we end.
Thank you I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. This is for everyone in the world. If you're a Palestinian in Gaza, if you're a Palestinian in West Bank, if you're Palestinian in Australia, Canada, North America, and Europe, this is for you. I'm doing this for you. I see you, I hear you, I love you. I just want to let the world know that regardless of who you are, where you come from, what trauma you might have experienced, the water can heal you, and I'm going to show you that.
Emil, sadly, every interview need to be ended, and I would like to talk to you hours and hours. You are very, very humble human beings, and it's interesting to talk and listen to you. But we have to end this, and we hope we can meet Emil again when he is a champion, holding his medal or trophy, whatever. Wish you all the best, Emil, and wish you the, the best not only in this sport but in your life. And I wish who can listen to us from the youth who would like to represent his dear, beautiful country, Palestine, to go forward to it. The Palestinian authorities and teams over there will help you to go through this and represent your Palestine beautifully in the sport. Again, thank you, Emil. Thank everybody who was listening and watching to us. Wish to see you next week. Enjoy your weekend and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.